Well, if you want to find out what's going on with Donald Trump, it's one-stop shopping. Kellyanne Conway is here, the campaign manager that's revamped everything over the last 3 weeks, including a stunning news last night, rumored then confirmed. What went into the decision, Kellyanne, as we welcome you to the couch, to have Donald Trump go to Mexico before his immigration speech? What's the backstory?
Well, this is Mr. Trump's decision, as are all the decisions in the campaign and the messaging. He really appreciated being invited by the president of Mexico to go down, these two would-be leaders, talking about I think the shared concerns between our two nations. Obviously, illegal immigration, Brian, but also trade, also drugs flowing over the border. And it's very important to show that you're willing to work with a neighboring country before you're president. And I would just contrast this again to Hillary Clinton's schedule. Yesterday, she raised gazillions more dollars in the Hamptons. Last week, she was in Hollywood doing the same. We are just in one span, just today, visiting the president of Mexico, having that conversation, and then jetting over to Arizona to give a seminal immigration speech.
So the governor of Mexico actively encourages its citizens to illegally emigrate into the United States. Is Trump going to bring that up? Is this going to be confrontational anyway? What's he going to say to the president?
I think it'd be informational, and these are two very strong personalities, as you know, Tucker, so I can't imagine they're not going to be themselves, but you can be yourself and still be cordial and still have a productive conversation. I think this is what leaders do. You know, in the last couple weeks, Governor Pence and Mr. Trump went right down to Louisiana when they saw people in need. Now he's being invited by the president of Mexico to go and start a conversation, not have a conversation through pundits in the media talking about who doesn't like whom and who said what about who 3 years ago, but to actually discuss the issues that affect both of us on both sides of the border.
Kellyanne, the polls are narrowing. We're seeing like Hillary has maybe a 4-point lead in some of the polls this morning. Is that because he brought you on board? Is it because his message has changed with immigration? Is it because he's staying more on point? What do you think? What do you give credit to?
I think it's that people are seeing more of Mr. Trump out in the stump, and they're listening to him give actual policy speeches, Ainsley. So you have the scarcity strategy of the Clinton campaign, which is less is supposed to be more. We don't see her. We only see her. She doesn't talk to the press. She totally disrespects you in your profession. We're out there giving speeches on law enforcement, on defeating radical Islam, on middle-class tax relief. Today, meeting with the governor of Mexico, president of Mexico, and then giving a speech on immigration. So I think people are seeing the contrast. In the Fox News polling and everybody's polling, voters don't say, hey, I'd really like a presidential candidate to ignore the press, ignore Louisiana, ignore an invitation, and raise money. They're saying, talk to me about health care, talk to me about the economy, talk to me about ISIS.
And there is a Fox poll coming out today. I'm very curious to see how it goes, because most people are focusing, like you, the experts, on the battleground states and less about the national polls. Quickly on the format, Kellyanne. They're going to meet behind closed doors. Will they come out with a joint statement afterwards? Will we see anything about them interacting together? Is this going to look at all like the president does after he meets with a world leader?
It really will look like that in terms of what we've planned and what we expect, Brian. And that's up to them if they make a joint statement, but you could probably
Will they take questions from the press?
They are. There's going to be press availability, Mexican press, American press. So we're very excited about that opportunity as well, and look at that in direct contrast to Hillary. And thanks for mentioning the tightening polls. If you look at these swing states, it's really amazing what's happened just in the last 2 weeks, because 3 weeks ago, everybody's hair was on fire. Look at the polls. The race is over. The race is over. He can't recover. And actually, Hillary Clinton's number has basically stayed the same, static, and it's Trump that's incrementally catching up to her again. I like the fact that we were a little behind there for a while, because I think it lit a fire under the campaign, had us treat ourselves like the underdog. I mean, there's nothing that'll sharpen the mind and stiffen the spine, much like you're losing to Hillary Clinton.
So I'm amazed by the numbers among black voters, which have improved. I mean, not dramatically, but noticeably in a real way. The very same week that Hillary Clinton basically tries to tie Donald Trump to the KKK. What is going on there? That's not expected. How did he do that?
You know, that's Americans, Tucker, saying, I just don't buy that. That doesn't make sense to me. I think you've overreached. And that conversation didn't create a single job, didn't give health insurance to a single uninsured person, didn't deter one more radical terrorist from doing their dirty work. And I think they also look at Trump taking his case directly to the voters. And you have to give the guy credit. You know, we'll be in Detroit, we'll be in some other cities coming up, where he's taking the case directly to the communities of color. But, you know, if you give voice and visibility, if you look at leadership, it's really showing up and giving people the voice and listening to their concerns. And he's even done that in roundtables. We have just at Trump Tower, we've been talking, in other places, we've been talking to Hispanic leaders, we've been talking to African-American leaders. It's just fascinating to watch how much he loves listening to them. And it's not all a list of grievances, this is what's wrong in our community. They're also talking about their accomplishments. They're talking about what motivates people in a positive fashion. We're going to be the optimistic, forward-looking, inspirational campaign that actually talks about substance.
Kellyanne, I want to talk to you about the debate prep, because we have about 3 more weeks. And how prepared is see what's he doing to prepare, and also we're getting word this morning that Hillary Clinton has hired a psychologist and talked to some psychologists, in fact, one that helped him write his book, so that she can go head-to-head with him and maybe get under his skin.
Hillary hired a psychologist. I won't touch that. But but if it's to help get under Donald Trump's skin, Ainsley, why can't she just, what is she so afraid of? Why can't she just show up and say, I'm going to defend Obamacare that's been a disaster. I'm going to explain what the heck I meant by last month in my convention speech referring to savage terrorists as, quote, our determined enemies. She can explain why she's not for school choice and charters. She doesn't respect homeschoolers. I mean, why not just show up and have a debate on the issues? Why all this, you know, this cage match stuff, this psychological warfare? It tells you that she knows the issue set doesn't really favor her. And it tells you that the only way that she can actually win is by trying to make Donald Trump seem so unpalatable.
Well, David Plouffe called Donald Trump a psychopath.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. After Tim Kaine last week, I mean, a governor, a senator, a mayor, former head of the DNC, now running for VP, you know, just really doing the dirty work, I think, of the Clinton lexicon, and also referring, I don't like to repeat the criticisms, but also I think shadowing Hillary Clinton's slurs about Donald Trump and some people who we've disavowed completely. But look, that doesn't help anybody. The voters expect and demand a conversation. So if they want, look, I think what happens, Ainsley, in these debates is the one thing the American people can see right away is if you're yourself. Is this the authentic person? Are you trying to be somebody or not? I mean, I would assume that even in not accepting the invitation to see the president of Mexico, Hillary Clinton is still asking her pollsters and focus groupers, Mr. Trump didn't ask me to go survey people to see what they thought. Leaders make decisions, and they show up.
Kellyanne Conway.
Thank you.
Campaign manager.
Thanks for showing up.
Great to see you this morning. Thanks for doing that.